Hey everyone, this is Shreyas and welcome back to another video. This finally is gonna be the full review of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. I've been using this particular phone for over 10 days now. I've been daily driving a Pixel. This review is going to be in the perspective of a long-term Pixel user. So without any further delay, let's check that out. Alright, so let's start with the build and design, and I'm absolutely thrilled about the build and design. I, for one, like big phones and I cannot lie. But the good part about this is that this makes the most of its form factor. It has a great big battery. It has the most premium materials to make it feel good. The weight distribution is excellent, so it does not feel top heavy or bottom heavy or anything like that. Curvature of the screen is good so that you don't have any accidental touches. There are relatively flatter edges on the sides, so it makes it easier to hold. The only thing I probably don't like is that it has a bit of sharp edges on the top and the bottom corner over here, because of which it kind of digs into your palm. So that's the only thing I don't like. Last but not the least, you also get this fancy nifty little S Pen in this phone form factor as well. Definitely a fan of the design. One thing I absolutely admire about this particular phone design coming from the Pixel 7 Pro has to be the matte back glass. I did not know I missed it so much. The 7 Pro just becomes very smudgy. Not to mention also gets a lot of finger oils. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra looks absolutely classy and stunning in this matte black color, which is called Phantom Black, I believe. But if you're someone who's not really careful with the phone and is looking for a case to use with their phone, I got this really cool case. Here's a quick look about it. This is a Spigen hybrid case, if I'm correct. It's called Hybrid Zero. The link of this case will be down in the description, so make sure you check it out. I made a dedicated short about it, so make sure to check it out in the link up here as well if you want to know more about it. This also gets the top tier materials this time. It gets Gorilla Glass Victus 2. It is supposed to increase the durability on impact with concrete and stuff like that. Apart from that, it does rock on the table thanks to the camera bump, but I don't really mind it in this case because it has so much camera hardware going on, which I will visit in the camera section of this particular video. Moving on has to be the big display on the front, and this is an absolutely gorgeous display, one of the best I've ever seen on a smartphone. This gets ample bright. This is very good in terms of the colors. Now, I did not like the out of the box vibrant color profile. I switched it immediately to the standard and I like it that way. Out of the box, it comes in FHD plus resolution, FYI. Immediately turned it to QHD plus, and the battery stats that I mentioned down in the video will be with that setting as well. I loved content watching on this. Unfortunately, the one glaring miss according to me would be Dolby Vision on this particular display. I think that would have been a great addition, but it's not there. But Samsung tries to push its HDR10 plus format of HDR, so that's what it is. Coming to the speakers, the good part is the speakers are extremely good. These are probably the best smartphone speakers I have ever used. The stereo balance is almost 50-50 in this. The volume gets extremely high without any distortion, and the depth plus the bass in the volume gives you a very good and immersive watching experience. Not to mention you get Dolby Atmos. Now it does do some virtualization, but I don't really notice a huge difference with Dolby Atmos. But it could be useful depending on the content you watch or the streaming platform you use. The next thing that really elevates the experience, in my opinion, has to be the haptics. This has A+ haptics according to me. Just that one complaint I have is the implementation of haptics across the UI could have been better. More to come in the software section of the video later on. The haptics, wherever it is there as feedback, is really crisp, precise and tight. Next thing that I want to cover and I really appreciate it has to be the fingerprint sensor. This is a long time after which I'm using an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, because the last time I used it was when I was trying out the Galaxy S10 series. But this has to be a very good implementation of the fingerprint sensor. The only gripe I have is the animation that is linked to the fingerprint sensors. The ripple effect makes it feel very slow, and if I remove that particular animation, it seems very abrupt. So especially from the always on display, if I hit it, it's very abrupt, so I don't really like that. If Samsung could change that, that would be amazing. The next big highlight of this phone has to be the flagship processor in this. So it's the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Now I don't really care about gaming and what it does for gaming, but in the day-to-day performance, obviously no worries at all. The thing that Samsung really improved this time has to be the animations in One UI 5.1. I'll cover more in details in the software section. But apart from that, doing multitasking, running heavy apps, and also the integrations of Samsung services and features like link to Windows and wireless DeX has been working really great. The biggest part about the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 in the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has to be the efficiency gains. Now this phone did not really get warm unless I used the camera for a long time. Apart from that, the phone really did not get warm. Even while running wireless Android Auto, to my surprise, the phone was considerably cool given how other phones really get heated up. The comparison with the Tensor G2 is there in my full comparison, which is coming up really soon with my Pixel 7 Pro. So if you're interested in that particular video, make sure you subscribe very soon and turn on notifications so that you don't miss it. The next thing I would like to move on to has to be the battery and charging. Now this is the part where the efficiency gains of the 8 Gen 2 just shines again. I ran it on QHD Plus all the time. I'm still running it, and I easily get 7 hours of screen on time throughout the day with approximately 1.5 hours to 2 hours of wireless Android Auto with data on, sometimes 4G and 5G. Also streaming music, navigation at the same time, and sometimes taking calls while being on Android Auto in my car as well. So that is usually the biggest battery hog in other phones, and in this phone it has been working flawlessly. The one thing I would say that the consumption of the always on display is kind of high compared to my Pixel 7 Pro. More to come in that particular comparison. So if you kind of keep your phone with the always on display on for a long time, you will see a significant battery drain. But the overnight battery drain with the always on display off is really good. You almost lose a percentage or two max overnight. That's really good, and the optimization is a big thumbs up. Where I have my gripes against Samsung is going to be the charging department. Now officially it supports 45 watt charging both in the PD and the PPS standard. First of all, Samsung included a 3 amp cable in the box which only supports up to 25 watt charging. Number two has to be that even while using a higher wattage cable, I had problems charging this up to 45 watts with my supported chargers. I have two chargers, both from Stuffcool, and if you're interested in these chargers, they will be linked down below as well. Now both my Centurion charger and the Napoleon charger did not really go up to 45 watts. For a second or two it went up to almost 50 watts but was never sustained, and this is when the battery was extremely low without any routines or anything running on the phone. So that's kind of weird. Now people recommended me to get the Samsung charger and their cable as well to get it up to 45 watts. People are claiming that with 45 watt charging, probably with the Samsung brick, is going to take around 1 hour 10 minutes. Next is going to be the software and the features in this. This comes with One UI 5.1 and it has a whole lot of features that are included this time. I made a detailed video covering about the top new features that are there in One UI 5.1. Few are S23 series exclusives, and you should check it out in this video right here above in the card right now. Now coming to that, I really liked Bixby call text. It's a really nifty feature. I have used caption calling on the Pixel. This works really well, and I feel the UI is even better than the Pixel. Not to mention the S Pen is a hardware thing that adds a lot of software features. Now be it the magnifier, smart select, something like handwritten notes, it is really useful for people who appreciate and want to write down. Apart from that, even selecting stuff from a particular page or text is really helpful as well. Few things I really liked was the PNG conversion from a JPEG file and the host of features that have been covered in the camera section as well. But the one big complaint I have about the software experience on this particular phone is that whenever you log in and set up your phone with a Samsung account, which I did because I have a lot of Samsung devices in my house, I got a lot of pre-installed apps. The two pre-installed apps that were mandatory even during the setup and there was no way to uncheck them, and trust me, I tried to find my best way out of it, were Samsung Tutor and I believe Samsung Shop. Now I don't clearly remember, but the host of pre-installed apps on these phones are really annoying. You can check out the screenshots over here. I can still understand the first party apps that are included, but because of the unfortunate happy marriage between Microsoft and Samsung, you also get a lot of Microsoft apps pre-installed over here. Not to mention Netflix and Spotify were also pre-installed, although you might not consider it bloatware, but these are third-party pre-installed apps. Number 2 is definitely going to be the annoying Samsung Shop app, the My Galaxy app, which I had to disable, and not to mention OneDrive, which you cannot even uninstall. This has to be disabled. Also, there was one time where Samsung push services pushed me a notification about something. I don't remember. Here's a screenshot if it's available with me. And that's really annoying. In a 1.25 lakh phone, these kind of notifications, according to me, first party or not, are unacceptable. I did disable it, but the point is that I had to. Few things that I appreciate in terms of software has to be linked to Windows, although the app streaming does not work as well because some apps are not supported. But wireless DeX is something that I used with my Tab S7 as well, and this is a really good experience, especially when you can use the S Pen as a pointer device on your screen for using it as wireless DeX on your monitor or TV. Yes, you can also use it in the wired mode if you have a Thunderbolt monitor. The other app I really liked pre-installed on this phone has to be Samsung Wallet. Now, not only can you tokenize and save your credit cards and debit cards to use for NFC payments, you do get notifications from Samsung Wallet though, and they have a rewards program if you use their Samsung Wallet. You can also save your COVID vaccination certificate and also your DigiLocker documents over here. That comes really handy in my opinion. I hope they come up with some update where I can include things like boarding passes or transit cards accordingly, and that I would definitely appreciate. With that said, this is going to be the camera section of this particular phone. Here are the camera samples and the video samples.
This is regular 4K 30 FPS video from the front facing camera, and let me know about the quality down in the comments below. The video samples will be coming very soon, but there are some issues with the photo samples, some really big issues that bothered me. I will be mentioning them in details right now, but make sure to watch it to understand where the S23 Ultra kind of struggles as of now and what you may expect if not fixed with software updates.
Coming to the camera samples, let's start where it's strong. The portrait mode edge detection is definitely really good, as you can see here, but my gripe will be against the skin tones and how it tries to brighten up the face too much, especially on the left sample over here. Moving on to the selfies, same problem with the same skin tones. They're good but really not accurate, especially when I compare it in my next video. You'll have a better idea with the pixel, but the edge detection again is pretty decent in the front facing camera as well. But when we move to rear camera shots, you can see a clear shift in the white balance over here on the wide lens, which is warmer than the ultra wide. When we zoom in, the quality is actually really good, up to 10x and even 30x. I definitely appreciate how the zoom implementation is done. When you go to 30x and 100x, you can again see a white balance shift from that of 10x, although the same lens and sensor is being used for both of these shots. Moving to a little bit of low light samples, the same trend continues. Here the ultra wide is slightly warmer than the wide. Overall the pictures look great, but when you zoom into again 3x and 10x, you can see a slight haloing around the buildings due to some weird HDR processing, which we will see more of moving on. Now here are artificial light, low light samples, and here the HDR processing messing up can be seen very clearly. You can see the highlighted areas. Over here on the left wall, there is some very weird shadows and HDR processing going on. When we zoom into 2x and 3x, you can see a similar story. Also, if you see the bed and the bed sheet over here, the details are almost crushed and removed. Same with the last pillow over here. Now when we zoom into 3x and 10x, here you can see that the 3x shot has the last pillow cover almost disappeared into the shadows. Same with the leaves on the plant. And on the right shot, you can see how there is weird noise color over here. Not to mention, these are not sharp at all, although clicked in night mode with the longest shutter possible, which was around 5 seconds in these cases. Moving out to outdoor low light shots with some artificial light, you can again see the haloing around the buildings. Wherever there is an exposure transition because of segmentation and separation of the subject, can see even when zoomed in, the same haloing around the buildings exist, and certain rings as well. But in very good light, you can see these samples from the ultra wide and wide. They come out very good with decent HDR, and there is not as much as a color shift over here. When you zoom into 3x and 10x, the quality remains really good. Even at 30x, you can see here the quality is pretty decent and definitely usable, especially for social media posts. When using the 10x zoom camera, you can see these pigeon shots over here look really attractive. They are sharp, well balanced. Also, thanks to the 10x telephoto, which can digitally crop in so much, you can get the shots of the sun and the moon like so in the samples over here.
Let's start with the video quality. This is 4K 30 FPS from the ultra wide. Let's switch to the wide angle. Mind you, I don't have the super stable mode on, which you can enable by default in this particular resolution. But here's from the 3x lens, and here's from the 10x. Switching has to be definitely good. There is still understanding that it's switching from a lens, but let me know overall, even with the mic quality and the HDR quality. Next video sample with super steady on though. This is the super steady mode. Now unfortunately it does not actually go to 4K, and this is only at QHD resolution at 30 frames per second. This is on the ultra wide. Let me go into the wide angle. It's a very quick switch. I'm not sure if it's physically switching the lenses or is it doing it digitally from a particular ultra wide sensor. Let me know about the quality of the video compared to the regular video quality, and if there is any loss in the super steady mode. One thing Samsung has introduced this year and it looks like to be really great quality overall is portrait video mode compared to last year. Now here's an HDR test in it also, and with stabilization. I'm doing it from the rear camera this time. Now sample from the front camera. This is portrait video from the front camera. Now the issue over here is that it's not as wide. I would have liked it to be a bit wider, especially compared to the Pixel. But let me know the quality, the cutout because of the portrait video and overall performance of.
Alright, so that's been a really long video, and thank you for everyone watching till now. I hope you got a perspective about what are the things you like and dislike about the Galaxy S23 Ultra. There are some things really to drool over for any tech enthusiast or someone who wants the latest and greatest from any flagship. And also I'm looking at a lot of posts from especially tech enthusiast community which finally make them switch over to Android. Now again, the comparison with the Pixel will kind of put things into perspective, where the extra money is being used in this particular phone and where probably the Pixel comes as a value proposition as well. But apart from that, I feel if you want the Android phone which can do it all and do it all well, this has to be on the top of your list. Now there are still things that it can't do because, you know, each phone has their specializations. This probably is a jack of all trades. There are some weaknesses like the low light performance I mentioned in the camera section. Also a few things around the software which I have gotten used to, especially compared to a Pixel. That's the thing you need to understand and gauge which are more important to you. And also one thing that you don't get on any other smartphone definitely launching in 2023 will be the S Pen. If you value that, that is definitely your decider for this. I hope this video made sense to you and you liked it. If you really liked it, I would appreciate you dropping a like. It will really help with this channel. And thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next video comparing it with the Pixel 7 Pro. Till then, I'll see you in the next one.